Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here in Total War Warhammer. Once more trying to settle grudges and to get those chaos bastards to bugger off once and for all. As usual, it's not quite as successful as one would hope, obviously. There's a patch coming out, well, on this day, in fact, probably will hit the same time as this video hits, where they'll be, amongst other things, adding the Blood Knights to the vampire counts. That's going to be something there, amongst other things. Though also added will be, again, amongst other things. Oh, what was it? Right, well, a bunch of changes. None of them really, I think, seemingly substantial, and certainly not fixing a lot of the issues I would say I had, particularly with the higher difficulties, where again, they rather seem to have slightly mucked up. Let's see if we can't put an end to this chaos story. Striking straight for Gnashrak's lair. Clearly they have not had enough. Those chaos chaps. They have come and they have wronged us. Now it's time to wrong them in some very wrong places. Ah, good lord. So yeah, Blood Knights for the vampires, basically vampiric knights rather than just undead knights, well, skeleton knights. So basically I think like their tier 5 stuff. I mean, it's not really a well-kept secret. I mean, if you sort of buy the release line, you know, encyclopedia, which they have for the game, by the way, you could pretty much see the tech for them was already there. So in that sense, you know, it was pretty obvious the Blood Knights were going to come sooner or later. It's just a question of when rather than if.
Thirst for war. Time for a reckoning. Attack.
He's dead.
What?
Jolly good. He has buggered off. A lot of gunners there, but I need to, well, freshen up the infantry lines as well. They're looking rather startlingly empty.
What orders? I challenge the earth. Answer to clan. Hold. Fulfill my tribute. To war. Slay.
So still got the Varg advancing there. Got armies moving up left and right here.
Doubtful.
As others are trying to get into some kind of fighting condition.
Let's march.
Certainly struck me a bit there. And I can still bring up more arms. Of course, again, the problem is basically I want to raise them up here, but the problem is that's pretty much peaked out already. So I kind of have to do just Karak, which again is sort of one of my main problems is anyways for it. It's just a bit of a bastard having to do it every single time. And the thing is, I think the Dwarves are one of the few that don't actually get any sort of bonuses for recruiting more. At least they are rather far off in some department. No. Don't think there's any way of doing anything about that, sadly. That's a bit of a bother, simply put. Troll Hammer Torpedo. to keep that army occupied for a bit. I'll bring up all the important bits. Orc uprising rapidly put down there by the chaps of the Empire. Of course, you can still keep voting for whatever army I'm supposed to do next. So far, it's pretty much split, I think, between Empire and Vampire counts. And showing the Vampire Knights, amongst other things. A bit more potent cavalry down the road, and certainly a lot more impressive looking. A bunch of corpses, or skeletons and horses. I mean, the vampires technically could, of course, also be counted as corpses and horses, so it's a bit, difficult there.
For the wisdom of the land.
They just gotta keep disrupting Ganashrak's lair, don't they? At least it's fortified, so should have some time there. While also for the fortified Catron, which is certainly looking much stronger now, much stronger. Sizable garrison now. Fill the Longbeards, a few Thunderers, quite a few Thunderers actually, Crawlers, and some artillery. But basically, so far Ganashrak's lair with the cannons got the advantage.
King's command.
Come on, just once. Here we go. Nothing that seems to increase chances. Actually doing anything.
Onwards! Die! Boom! Now! Ready! A wise direction. Moving! And that! Watch!
And this army as well.
If you dare.
And rapidly advancing. As fast as the stabby little legs can carry them.
Raise Sigma.
So I think that counts for. Still got this fella.
Don't burden me with that. Nah, that'll misfire.
And we can't move either. Well, best I can do is basically use the global recruitment option to bring him up some stuff. I guess we'll do the Thunders. It's pretty expensive to do the global recruitments. I mean, it's not really something you want to do very often, to be honest.
It is time.
Quite the opposite, really. Quite the opposite. Warriors of Chaos again. Seeing as there's nothing else to join in, this could actually be the very last wave. Nothing else after this, and I sincerely hope so, because it's really starting to get tedious. And we still got a bunch of grudges to settle after this anyways. So even then, any sort of victory is not going to happen right. It's just going to be some boring formalities, if you will, assassinating some things and so on. They're at least trying to, because again, assassination generally isn't something the dwarves are very good at, meaning the assassination grudge, pain in the ass, and you're practically better off trying to, you know, annihilate the, you know, cause of the grudge, thus cancelling off that way instead. Then again, if the grudge is just too much, I might just, you know, kill Archeon and just declare victory there, because again, it's just going to get, you know, going into nowhere. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you rather won the game to a certain extent. That's my opinion there. Nope, down.
What orders? Hell! Time for a reckoning. Shoulder axes, lads. For wisdom of Valea.
No chance there. Gotta have them attack me head on and hope for the best in the defense.
Onward! What?
Oh, I thought I'd actually got that to double time, but clearly had not. That's no good. They're still working hard there. Splendid. Yeah, we're slowly growing towards there being able to get the final bit. Bit of an upgrade there. Small upgrade there. Just up there, then close to get. Right now it's just all about cranking out those armies.
Let us begin.
And just passing turns. And of course dealing with all the grudges, and good lord, the one with the Master Engineer, for actually lowering the rank requirement for that one, but that actually means, oh god, even if I've cleared anything else, I won't be able to sort of get the victory bit I need until I get him ranked up, and again, that's going to be an absolute pain in the ass.
What needs to be done? Moving?
And really, the grudge system, again, in a sense, when they tie to the victory conditions, it really becomes dumb. To be honest.
Aye, lad, what can I do?
So I know once Archeon is set, I might just declare victory then and there. You know, again, once the Chaos Warriors faction has been destroyed. Because going after those victory conditions is just going to be an absolute slog. I mean, it already is, but that's just going to be even more of one. Right, then let's try this out. See how my gyro cups and all that's going to look out. No idea about that, to be honest. That's where we're at, plus we've still got cannons, thunderers and other bit. Let's hope they're actually worth it.
We will have vengeance! Victory will be ours! The clans unite! Yes! By the gears of Zufbar! Gyrocopter!
Funny things there. Plus they can drop bombs. That's pretty handy. First silence there, Tilly, because that's going to be a lot worse.
Gyrocopter! Strike out!
Sending out the Air Force. Come on, shoot the dogs. What's taking you so long, really? The order was given. Gyrocopters seem kind of terrible. It's just like, you know, you got a lot of fancy stuff, but apparently they couldn't quite decide how to balance it, so ultimately they just sort of make them not that useful really for how much effort you have to put into them. Maybe I'm using them wrong, but again, considering how many bonuses they're giving the AIs, I can't really afford, you know, to have to manage everything tightly and you know, the more I sort of look at it, the game seems, you know, rather awkwardly designed. Again, they really put in a lot of fancy stuff. It's just increasingly feeling like they did do a very good job of it. They did implement it very sensibly. I mean, here we got, you know, 4 gyrocopter units, one already gone here, trying to attack a Marauder horseman unit with steam guns and everything else. And they're not really having much of an effect. Again, they're supposed to be the big thing, but they're clearly not. Now, of course, I'm just losing because I had to manage them so much more because, again, sort of get any effect out of them, apparently have to. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not here to play StarCraft, I'm here to play Total War, yet apparently I'm being expected to manage things even deeper. I can't really focus much on the grander strategy I feel here. Tactics, or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've certainly lost any interest in anything that sort of resembles anything, again, fancy. I mean, the steam tank is probably the only thing for the Empire that sort of follows the fancy direction, which I think kind of works. But beyond that, it just basically is, you know, go cannons, go for a lot of guns, swordsmen, maybe some cavalry if you get access to that, but basically anything that looks remotely fancy, don't even think about it. It's just terrible. I mean, I haven't even done much damage to them just getting wrecked here. Yeah, that was just a waste of resources, really. An absolute waste. Well, live and learn, I suppose. Just, I don't even know then, again, why they put so much effort into it if they're not going to make any sort of, you know... Also, again, the AI bonus is just... They're just stupid. In this case, though, Tilia and the Empire saved me out. But it definitely feels like there's a bit of a gap there several times again. You know, all these impressive units, yet their effect tends to be rather, well, what am I doing with it? Sort of thing, you know, again, gyrocopters. Well, what are they doing? Not much. Well, you have to manage them a lot. Battle. I don't have time for that. Ooh, right. I don't know. I can't help but feel they somehow went a bit wrong again with the battle still. I mean, shooters, primarily shooters, cavalry, cannons. Anything beyond that is just useless fluff. For all intents and purposes. As in terms of all the resource and so you have to put into it, it's just, it doesn't feel really worth it.
Ready? I suppose. take the realms. By the ancestors, no.
I don't know, I'm complaining much, it's just... I can't really help but escape that feeling.
Send me to vengeance. One rug. To battle.
It is just so
For the
ever
wisdom of the land.
present.
For the wisdom of the land. We march. For clan honor. Kill. I cannot, but I will break an oath.
He's the one that actually has bonuses to assassinate, yet he still can't do it. Oh good lord.
To war. Summon me. Ready. Aha!
Slow level up there. Very slow.
Anad.
Almost got the cannons ready there.
Onward.
But I think I might just try disabling the, well, difficulty bonuses and penalties all there for the next campaign just to see what happens there. Whatever one I'm playing. Because really it makes a huge difference against some units just, which are already pretty chaff-like, tend to end up being completely useless, and other strong ones can easily end up being countered by, well, not very strong ones. It ends up being a bit, you know, disappointing in a sense. You know, you got these big elite units, yet in terms of performance, they then don't end up performing like it. Which is probably one of my bigger issues overall the more I play it. It's just a lot of the elite units ultimately, they don't end up feeling very elite. There's less of this sense of feeling that, oh right, these guys are good, they just seem to form moderately, even marginally better than others, and you then kind of go, off with armor piercing because everything else is not going to matter anyways. So, I mean, again, I think they need to sort of really take a hard, good look at a lot of things because, for me, just, I don't know, it still feels lacking.
They will die by my axe.
Oh, there goes another one.
I agree. The High King moves. Yes. I will not disgrace my ancestors. Yes, not for all the gold. Let us begin. My axe thirsts for war.
Well, we got, I suppose, one Chaos Warrior army left. Let's see if he can't get the Chaos Warriors destroyed. But then again, I'll just call it quits there because this campaign is just dragging on way too long. Way too long. I mean, it's just me most of the time passing turns. And again, it's just one of those weird things that had in some of the recent Total War games. For example, also with Attila, some of the factions you gotta raid a certain amount of gold, and the problem is it's absolutely slow. I mean, I really feel no real sense to raiding, so when they force you to do it, it just becomes really awkward. And like you're just phoning it in. It doesn't feel organic, it doesn't feel natural in that sense. Again, having the grudges there, like there's just, in particular when they could just keep piling on, and some of them can just be completely ridiculous. Like again, get a level 15 hero out of nowhere because that's easy. Is again, you wonder a bit why there. You kind of wonder a bit why. What were they thinking? What were they hoping to achieve?
One rug! Sure enough, attack! Time for a reckoning. Drang them! Move. Ha-ha! Throw bearers! Let's not summon me!
Please let that be the remaining one.
For the
Please.
wisdom of the layer. It is time!
It's not that I enjoy the game, but it's just late game is, well, quite frankly, well, it's a bit lacking again. I mean, all the late game units, again, as you sort of noticed in most cases, tend to feel, well, quite naff. I mean, again, gyrocopters, all that, iron, chaps there, hammers, they just don't really feel like they perform a lot better than the others. Again, I just end up relying on thunderers, some cheap infantry, and cannons. In particular, the cannons, because they're pretty much the ones that are sort of seriously guaranteed to do some good damage. And again, if you want sort of elite units to perform elite, you kind of need to remove the difficulty stuff, because again, it nerfs your units and buffs theirs. It's still the one I really have a hard time getting my head around. And it's just a really terrible decision. Absolutely awful. I mean, again, difficulty. The problem is, they should be looking at the campaign potato that's been, tilted off a mountain and then left to mold for a few weeks. It's absolutely rubbish in how it sort of plays the game. It can't really coordinate its big armies very well in a cohesive campaign. And that forces them to then buff sort of the individual armies, because it can't leverage its big armies very well against you most of the time. This is where, for example, there was like, two big Chaos armies, and then they split up for some reason. Instead of just attacking one city and taking on directly, in fact, they'll never try to sort of rush a city, even a heavily fortified one, as quickly as possible. I mean, it was right here, Hergi, Talabayam. They split up, and then one AI army from the other side basically walked up, wrecked them both. And again, the question is, why would it do that? Why wouldn't it just, try and get as much success against one at a time? But no. So again, they shouldn't be looking at making the battles more difficult that way, in particular when they actually got them to make better use of the cavalry. They should be looking to,
Forwards.
Yeah, Chaos Warriors gone. And with that, I'm going to declare victory, because again, it's just going to be about now settling the grudges, I think. Maybe rebuild one place. And that's it. Again, it's all about those grudges. And 9, and again, that means, I mean, no matter how much I sell all the others, which are quite a few, I still got this one, and I still got to bring up someone there. And it's going to be just absolutely boring, because now there's not really much left to fight. So, I will call a victory. I mean, we pretty much won as the Dwarves. So, thank you all for joining in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Had some fun again, my apologies. But again, next campaign we'll get back into some proper action. And again, the choice is pretty much at this point, vampires or empire. So, voted off there. Then vampire counter empire. We'll get to it in the next 2 days. Another 2 days. Right from the beginning again, we'll then get some more juicy action from the start, where again, sort of the game flows and plays better. And again, where there are no elite units, not feel very impressed about. So thank you all, hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, again, subscribe, like, share it, comment on it, and so on. And this is Imperial Dane signing off, and see you all in another Tuesday's time. Cheers.